A major player in Maine aviation has died. Allyn Caruso passed away earlier this month in Florida, according to his obituary. Caruso's father and uncle founded Bar Harbor Airlines in 1949 and Maine Aviation Corporation in 1959. At the age of 19, Caruso, known by many as AJ, became one of the youngest captains in the nation flying for BHA. He eventually became president of the airline. Caruso, his wife, and his son developed the business, now known as Mac Air Group, into a complete service center for general aviation. He flew well-known celebrities from presidents to rock bands. Caruso's funeral will be held in Portland on Saturday. It will be live-streamed at ladyofhopemaine.org. Allyn Caruso was 74 years old.